On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we are talking about Star Trek Lower Decks 205 and Embarrassment of Dooplers, right after these craven Ferengi lavish you in anguished supplication for access to your hard-earned latinum.
Welcome to the Star Trek Universe podcast, the podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing Star Trek conversation that two lifelong friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Well, what's happening, Dave? How you doing tonight?
I don't have an answer.
My mom always said when there's nothing good to say.
I think your mom still loves that story where like I called you and like left a message on your answering machine when we were little kids, and I was like, "This is Dave. I have nothing to say." I just hung up.
Hadn't changed at all, Dave. You hadn't changed at all.
Yeah.
Just teasing. Okay. Let's get into this Star Trek episode. Let's not bury the lead, which, by the way, this phrase, I'm definitely burying the lead further. The phrase bury the lead is spelled L-E-D-E.
Really?
Yeah. I went to type, I looked at an old tweet of mine and I realized, like, bury the lead. Did I spell that right? And I looked up lead. Sure enough, it's L-E-D-E. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, and I've never seen that. I've seen people write, like actual, journalists and shit say,
yeah,
bury the L-E-A-D.
Yeah, same. Looked it up this week for the specific purpose of finding out if I spelled it right in an old tweet, and I had not.
Okay.
Anyway, let's talk about an Embarrassment of Dooplers, which this is probably my favorite title of the season. It's a good, really, really good title.
Yeah, and a very nice spiritual successor to The Trouble with Tribbles, I think.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and it's even more so. The Trouble with Edward, was that the name of that short?
Yeah, I think so.
Which, is a Tribble-based episode, but like, this felt so much like that episode with everybody getting closed in on and the speed at which the Dooplers were replicating. Yeah.
And I loved the Doopler ambassador, voiced by the, great Richard Kind.
Yes.
No, she's giving us the silent treatment.
Yeah.
That's even worse.
I knew something was coming with, like, they were just going to treat him differently, and it was going to start. But I enjoyed it overall. I love Richard Kind, and yeah, I really like the Doopler. It reminded me a little bit of the Meeseeks. I feel like they were going for like, just sort of a silly alien that would do a silly thing, and it was fun. This show, Star Trek is so rich with so much that this show never runs out of references to make.
Oh no, and there's so many.
There's so many. There's like no way. Whoever makes those videos, it's like, 64 Easter eggs in the most recent episode of whatever. Like, I haven't watched any of those for Lower Decks, but it's gotta be insane. Like, they're just everywhere. Every shot of the show, every background, that space station was covered in references to other Trek.
They actually did list it on Memory Alpha.
Wow.
Maybe I'll just like do like a list post show with some and with some explanations where they're from. I don't feel like you're going to be interested in me rattling all that off.
I'll be interested for the first few.
Yeah. But I did really especially love seeing the outrageous Akona from Next Generation. He was the DJ.
Oh yeah.
It was from a very specific episode called The Outrageous Akona. And,
I remembered that name, Akona, and I was like, what is that from? Ah, dang it.
And what made me happy was that she was like, Akona's in there? He's the DJ. She's like, he's not even Starfleet. This is outrageous.
That's pretty great. That's pretty great.
Yeah. And I loved seeing, Captain Shelby from Best of Both Worlds. Like, she's no longer a commander. She's a captain now.
Yeah.
And her first officer, by the way, he had like 2 points on his head and all the eyeballs. I don't know if you remember seeing him. That was the original design for Saru. When I saw him, I started geeking out. I was like pointing at the guy. I was like,
wow.
The alien is the original design for Saru. My wife was like,
that's
oh, cool.
Awesome. That is freaking awesome. Man, yeah, the show, it's just such a, I don't even know what it is sometimes. I'm like, this is just it's fan service for sure. And like in a way that I don't mind. It's not like it's taking a very serious show and diverting it to do fan service. It's a show that's built around like, we're just going to celebrate Star Trek and like make silly references to it. And so it's almost like, I'm trying to say this without insulting the show because I like the show, but it's like so many shows if you get this fan servicey, if they made this many references in a season of Picard, for instance, you would be like, just tell a new story, like stop it. But since this is like not about that, it allows it to be silly and just make all the fucking references it wants to, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even this show actually does get to that point sometimes with me where I'm just like, oh, good Lord.
Enough of it is background for me that I'm like, whatever. Like, if I don't want to pay attention to that, I don't have to.
It still makes me laugh. And I do enjoy the fact that like these characters are so, so far removed from being the heroes of Starfleet that like all of the stories that we know are also stories that they know.
Yeah.
They look up to the characters of the primary Star Trek shows as much as we do.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I do enjoy that quite a bit.
The Kirk and Spock names carved on the bar was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And I can totally see a drunk Kirk doing that. Not so much a Spock, but like him drawing, look, Spock, me and you, buddy.
Why is he Rick from Rick and Morty? I was like, it's Spock, me and you, buddy. 1,000 years, Kirk and Spock, kirkandSpock.com.
3 seasons and 6 movies. Yeah, Kirk and Spock.
Did 10 spinoffs. It's the kirkandSpock.com. Forever and ever. For 100 years.
For those of you who don't watch Rick and Morty, that was an amalgamation of Rick and Morty and Community references. But good.
By the way, have you seen all of the live action Rick and Morty stuff with Christopher Lloyd as Rick?
Not all of it. I think I've only seen one clip. Like I think that's just saw him walk into the garage or whatever.
No, there are more now. One of them with him doing Rick and Morty 100 years.
I'll have to look them up. I think like I saw them when they first dropped, or like I saw one of them when it first dropped and then I hadn't followed up.
It's tangentially connected to this.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. This show is very Rick and Morty. Like if Rick and Morty didn't exist, I don't think this show would exist. At least in the tone and form that it has taken. Yeah. I mean, some of the creators came from Rick and Morty, correct?
Yeah. I think it's the same animation studio as Rick and, it's Mike McMahon. Yeah, absolutely. He was the, script editor on Rick and Morty. And cool. He's the co-creator of Solar Opposites with,
yeah.
Guy.
I watched a few episodes.
Roiland.
It was pretty funny. Yeah. Justin Roiland. Yeah.
Yeah. Solar Opposites is pretty good. Like, I need to watch season 2. I'm very interested to see what happens with the story of the people in the wall. I'm serious. I am.
Yeah. No, I know. I hear you. Yeah. You mentioned it before, cause I've seen the beginnings of that story, but I have not seen what is going on in the season. I can imagine.
It is a rollicking epic adventure that definitely ends on a cliffhanger before season 2. So I really want to see more of that.
That's awesome. So yeah, we'll see. Okay. I mostly like this episode. I think I really like the Doopler stuff. I mostly really like the Tindy and Rutherford stuff. Like, It was nice. I loved that they swapped it out for a DS9 model. I loved that the resolution of the story was that they never planned to finish it. They just used it to get people to leave them alone so they could spend time together. That's just a nice friendship moment. And the getting into the party, I liked all the party stuff. I liked all the space station stuff. The one thing that I don't like, and like this show, I feel like this show's mostly walked the line with this stuff for the most part. Mm-hmm. But like, okay, when Rick and Morty does like a humor thing where they're in a chase or in a whatever battle and stuff, and things are just getting destroyed left and right.
Yeah.
It makes sense. The part of the joke is that Rick doesn't care about anything or anyone, you know? Mm-hmm. And we as the audience kind of get to revel in the fact that everything's just getting destroyed. The chase scene, like with Boimler and Mariner, I was just like, they're legitimately like running over other species and like destroyed that like tank of the fish people that said we're not people. It's fine and fun. I just kind of felt like, especially Boimler. I don't know, Boimler and Mariner. Like Mariner's all about helping people and not letting Starfleet be the big assholes that run around the galaxy hurting people, right? Yeah. Like that's her whole thing. And so for her to like kind of not like stop acknowledging that just to get away from getting in trouble, it felt very not Starfleet and kind of not them really. Like I felt like that was kind of I don't know. It felt weird. It didn't feel like fitting to the characters. And I know it's a silly show, but and I won't go crazy on it. I just thought that part bothered me.
Yeah, it didn't bother me because, you know, she did point out that, you know, they were totally corrupt and they would wind up in a penal colony. So yeah, they gotta get away. They gotta get away on this.
Yeah, but you could also just like call your mom or call the ship. And I'm like, you're doing a bad thing. It just felt more like they're doing a thing that's going to get them in trouble. And now they're running away. Like I know they threw in that line about them being corrupt, but like, yeah, I don't know. I didn't buy it. It felt a little too whatever. I don't know. It felt a little too, and even if you do make that chase scene happen, you can have them intentionally dodging the people that like. Well,
she only like ran into the fish tank guy. Like,
yeah.
She was actively dodging everybody else.
It just felt a little disaster chase scene, movie scene. I don't know.
You know what I almost thought they were referencing is the Blues Brothers, like the chase scene through the mall.
Yeah, almost. I could totally see it. Like, I feel like they could have thrown a few extra references in there and it would have fit really well.
Yeah, there was one point where like one of the security carts like flipped over and I was certain, like I was listening for it and they didn't do it. I was certain they were going to go, they broke my watch.
Oh yeah.
That was just a running gag throughout the Blues Brothers.
They broke my communicator.
Yeah.
Just giving like a similar voice. I did love some of the stuff in there though. I love the guy who's like, this is how I die. And the cars come at him. Yes. And then all the wrecks happen around him and he goes, I'm still alive.
Yeah, he actually goes, aw, I'm still alive. That was Paul Scheer, by the way.
Oh, fun. No, I missed it. Yeah, I keep catching his voices all over this show.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
Which, yeah, I keep catching it, but I keep forgetting to mention. But I did not catch it there. That's fun.
That groundskeeper was by far my favorite thing in the episode.
Mine was, are you sure none of these are lures?
A couple of them might be lures.
Oh,
no. See, I actually snorted when they crashed in the pond and all the data started floating.
Yeah. And then they got out of the bubble bathed lake and they were like actually washed. They had soap all over them.
Yes.
Yeah. That was super fun.
That was fun.
Yeah. The datas and lore thing was killing me. The data bubble bath killed me.
I loved the Bolian barbers. I keep loving the idea that it was a joke from, there were two Bolian barbers on Next Generation And of course, the joke is that the Bullions are bald. Like, why are they barbers? I just love this idea that there's like, it just continues to be like these franchises of Bullion barbers everywhere. Like, where did you guys develop the skill set?
Why do you have an acumen for that? Given your planet. Also, we get our second confirmation that Quarks is a franchise.
Oh yeah.
So this one they actually say they have a Quarks.
Yeah. Which my favorite bit of that was that used to be an empty lot where young people used to get in trouble or whatever. that was funny to me.
It's weird that the space station would have that.
Yeah. Oh, this was a fantastic reference to Wrath of Khan. Malvis complains that she left him on SETI Alpha 4, which is worse than SETI Alpha 5. And then she says, I'm sorry I left you on SETI Alpha. I really thought there was life there.
It was really good. That was really good. Oh, man. Another line I really liked. Your paw is weak. just because it was a nice Bajoran reference. Your paw is weak and it's disgusting. Ejecting the warp core was funny and weird.
Yeah. Everything with that little ship was weird to me.
Everything in the ship was funny because it all worked, including the warp core, which is insane.
And they had to stick their like tweezers in to like.
Dude, that cracked me up. They had the little
the keys.
Ejector, the little tiny key cards to open the warp core.
Yep.
That was really good. Really, really good. It surprised me that it took this long in this season. What episode are we on? Is this like 5 or 6? 7?
5.
Okay. It kind of surprised me it took them this long to have this abandonment conversation. That this episode ended up kind of being about with Mariner. And like, I think it makes sense for her character but I guess like I kind of knew where this was going. Like we kind of knew where this was going from the very beginning. I was a little surprised they welcomed Boimler back with such open arms after he did kind of leave in a real jerky way.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm remembering correctly, she had the opportunity to take the position, but she decided not to, and then he took it instead without telling her.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And like, I remember that being like, ooh, that was cold, Boimler, just like working on his career instead of caring about his friends. And that's where the season ended. So I thought this season was going to be a little more attack that directly. And it took them 3 episodes before they mentioned it.
Yeah. It took a minute. And
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Me too.
Seems like they wouldn't necessarily talk about their feelings so much.
It makes sense for Mariner for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like Boimler's enough of a coward that he wouldn't want to bring it up. He would just be like, all right, well, she hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
And I love that they couldn't get into the party. Like, not Boimler, but I love that no one on the Cerritos could get into the party.
Yeah. I like her big rousing speech, and then it just cuts to them outside. I liked your speech, Captain.
Yeah. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Fun episode overall. I liked it.
Sure.
I always like it. Was it 10 episodes in this season?
I think so.
We're like, the mid-season trailer just came out. We talked about it last week.
Mm-hmm. We did.
I'm excited about the last half of the season and getting into some of this stuff. Man, speaking of animation mid-season stuff, I know you're not. I don't think you're watching it, but the What If mid-season thing came out, and I am like, my mind is blown right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know you're not. I know you're not up on it, but man, just exciting. Just some exciting stuff happening on What If.
If you say so. I have no frame of reference.
I know. Just like we're getting stories that are just insane. It's kind of, it really does kind of relate to this in a way. Like, it's a way of doing interesting fan service what ifs. I mean, like Elseworld stories where you like change one event and see what happens, you know?
Right.
And like
yeah.
getting that chance to actually see those fully fleshed out and animated and, but based on a universe, the MCU that we all know so well, like it's been a really cool experience. It reminds me a little bit of the experience of this show where like you can have these jokes because we all have the same frame of reference, you know? It's like they'll jump into a scene, it's a scene from Age of Ultron, and then someone makes a slightly different decision, and then all of a sudden it shows what happens after that happened, you know?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I used to read the Marvel What If comics, actually.
Yeah.
So I was a big fan. My favorite was What If Strife and Apocalypse killed the X-Men. That was a fantastic issue.
They did an episode of What If, I think it was like episode 3, What If the Earth Lost Its Mightiest Heroes?
Mm-hmm.
It starts in like Iron Man 2 when he's in the big donut, and it goes forward with like, you know, someone's taking out all the Avengers before they become Avengers, basically. And it's just, like, man, so they've done that. They just, episode 5 was What If Marvel Zombies?
Mm-hmm.
And, they just did a full-on zombie movie, basically. It both adhered to the rules of the Marvel universe, but it also was very much a zombie movie. Like, it kind of like had the beats of a zombie movie.
Yeah, I know they did like a whole big epic event in the comics that was called Marvel Zombies.
Yeah.
I never read it because I don't give a shit about zombies.
I get that. It's weird. It's interesting and different. For one thing, there's no reason you wouldn't do this. You'd have to do this. But the Marvel in zombies, if you become a zombie, you lose all your skills, right? You're just like a mindless thing. In this version of zombies, like they still have their abilities as heroes, you know?
Yeah.
So like, you know, so it's like a flying falcon zombie and like a zombie Cap throwing his shield around and stuff. It's cool though. I really enjoyed just like it's almost like it's them telling their own little universe is
sure
just self-contained and getting to see them through to the end of at least an end point that they find interesting. And they've already said that season 2, they're planning to continue some of the stories from the season.
Mm-hmm.
So like get to continue down the road on some of these what if tales.
Okay.
And I'm super pumped about it.
Yeah. Jason's been trying to get me forever to read, Deceased, which was pretty much the same thing, but with DZ.
Oh, really? They did zombies?
Yeah, they did zombies too.
Nice.
And, I mean, Tom Taylor's writing it. I know Tom Taylor's great. He's a really good writer. I don't care.
Yeah, I get it.
I want to.
No, yeah, man. I hear you. I just like, you know, I love Star Trek is to what taught me to do it. And I just love a continuous universe.
Yeah.
And now being able to do these sort of tales that have all the weight. It's not like they're resetting each of these stories, but they're like, you know, alternate universes. So we're getting like these stories with all these characters.
Yeah, man.
And like getting to see what they do. I won't spoil anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, don't spoil any. I will watch it. I will get there. I'm just behind on everything.
Very excited about this particular thing. and just talking about this kind of animated series that's doing sort of like fan service tales. I'm like, I can't not mention it. Anyway, well, so anything going on with you, Dave? Anything new? Anything we need to discuss in the real world?
I don't think so. I don't think I've mentioned it on this show. Maybe I have. But if you like Star Trek fan art, Drawing with Dave over on Instagram.
I love it.
Yeah, I do some Star Trek and other things. So, go check that out. Always looking for followers. People to follow me off of cliffs and stuff.
Looking for some lemmings. Be his lemmings.
Yes. If I could change the word to lemmings on Instagram, I would.
Oh, right. Like you click on lemmings.
Well, yeah, like instead of having followers, I wish I could just change the code to where it says lemmings, but Instagram is stingy with their API, man. You can't crack that shit. They get mad.
Yeah, you can't destroy their website. That's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, it's good chatting with you, and I'm over here in Dallas visiting Alyssa this week, so I should be able to do this next episode of Trek sooner than later, though.
Oh, good.
Hey, and thank you so much for everybody who went and gave us reviews this week. As we mentioned, we're doing the September review drive for Stranded Panda. All our Stranded Panda podcasts, there's 9 of them that you can review this week and get entered in to win your choice of either an Oculus Quest 2 or a Nintendo Switch. So get a video game system, and there's just not that many people doing it. So like your odds are not bad, especially if you go and review all 9, because every one you review is another entry. And all the rules and stuff are at strandedpanda.com/contest. And I put links to every show that literally just clicks you through directly to the iTunes page. So, or the Apple Podcasts page now. So you can like easily go to strandedpanda.com/contest and just click through and review all 9 real easily. Mm-hmm. It's 5-star reviews and you get entered in. So yeah, come on.
It's a trap. They're all links to porn.
It's a trap. All right.
That is a different star universe.
It is a different star universe. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's about it for our Star Trek podcast this week. We'll be back. Well, not this week. We'll be back in a couple days with the next Lower Decks.
Yep.
Cool.
All
right. Peace. Jolan True.
Live long and prosper.
Almost missed it. It's been like I've been on it for a year. Almost missed it.
And now, more fun with references. Here are some of the fine folks and species we could see on Starbase 25. Abaddon, from the Star Trek Voyager episode Alice. Apollo, from Who Mourns for Adonis, original series. Arex, the Adosian from the animated series. Balok's Puppet, the original series, Corbomite Maneuver. Amelia Earhart, from Voyager the 37s. Ruth Bonaventure, Magda Kovacs, and Eve McHurran, from Mud's Women, on the original series. Dur and Mob, the Capellan Warriors from TOS, Friday's Child. Horda from TOS, The Devil in the Dark. Lokai from TOS, Let That Be Your Last Battlefield. Imres from the animated series. Thadian Okana, as we mentioned before, from TNG's The Outrageous Okona. Ruck the android from TOS, What Are Little Girls Made Of? Shauna and Tamoon and Galt from The Gamesters of Triskelion, original series of course. Shelby from TNG, The Best of Both Worlds. The Andorians, we've seen them all over the place. And Hedians from TNG's Manhunt. The Arcadians, which they were from Star Trek IV. They were first named in the Star Trek IV Sourcebook update. Aurelians, those are the giant bird people that we saw in the aviary. They were from the animated series, specifically the episode Yesteryear. We saw Bajorans, Benzites, Bolians. Here's another sourcebook species that came from Star Trek IV, Bazit Kat. Evora from Star Trek Insurrection. We saw Ferengi, Gorn, humans, Klingons, Lurians, of course, the species that Morn hails from. We saw Assault Vampire from the original series, the Man-Trap, of course. As I mentioned in the episode, Shelby's number 1 was the original Kelpian design. We saw Telosians, who came from, of course, The Cage, the original series. Taurus 2 Anthropods. That was interesting. Galileo 7, the original series. And, of course, Vulcans.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.